Hi guys, welcome back to Gardening with Creations by DX & Co. Today I want to address my seedlings. My seedlings are getting tall, they're getting leggy, they're getting overcrowded in the space that they're in. So now it's time for me to look at options on how to up-pot my seedlings because they're not ready to go outside yet. I just looked at the weather forecast. In a couple of days here, we are expected 3 to 4 inches of snow here in Zone 6A, so I'm not about to put my tomato plants and things like that out in the garden just yet. So what I need to do is address them so that they survive a little bit longer for the coming weeks. I need to make it through about 3 to 4 more weeks. So we need to look at up-potting options. So stay tuned, let's get started. So what does it mean to up-pot your plant? Well, that just means to take it from the planter that it's in, your starter plug if you will, and put it into something larger, like this for example, right? So could I put all 4 of these into that pot and would they survive? Yeah, quite possibly. But the healthiest thing for me to do is actually put this particular one into its own pot. Now look at this. I mean, just fantastic root growth. They've been soaking in water, so they're doing very well. These are some very long, leggy tomatoes, and they're still very healthy. Now you can see this particular tomato plant here is trying to grow roots from its stem. So we're going to utilize that and bury this one deeper here. So we've got 4 different types of tomato plants. Here we've got our cherry tomatoes, which are these ones, our beefsteak. A little bit later we planted some early girls and some brandywine. You can see that each of these are growing at a different rate. They're all reaching for the light. The light is at a good height above them, which is where I want it to be. You can see the rest of the plants, like the marigolds, are staying right at that level. They're very healthy. We're going to replant those as well, though, in some individual pots. Our jalapeno plants are doing very well, and our Greek peppers are also, our poppies and Johnny jump ups are growing nicely, but our tomatoes are going to grow faster rate than the rest of them. So what we want to do is actually give them a better chance at supporting themselves. If you look along here, you can see all those little hairs that are along this particular plant. Those are the plant actually trying to root itself. In fact, if you look at this one in particular, you see this bump along the stem. It actually, you would think that that's a fungus. It's not actually a fungus. It's the plant actually trying to heal itself because it's trying to root from that point, and it is callousing over basically. So I do have some wilted leaves in here. They're just from, being too close to the light, or, too much humidity, not enough airflow, because these are all so bunched together. So we're going to trim and prune those off today. That's okay. It's not going to hurt the plant as long as we don't take too much foliage off. We're also going to get rid of all of these starter leaves. You notice with every plant that you plant, they start to come out with a starter leaf, is what they call these. There's a technical term for it. I'll put it in on the screen here, but you can actually trim those off, and we're going to bury the stems as deep as we can here for tomato plants. So we're going to get all of these roots to support this plant for the future. So we're going to take these smaller ones, the brandywines, these beefsteak, or I'm sorry, the early girls and the brandywines. We're going to use our smaller pots for those, but we're going to bury them deep. And then our larger ones that have been planted a little bit longer, we don't want this falling over like this. We want to support that. So we're going to bury those even deeper and use our larger pots for those. We may even go as large as our 5-gallon pots here, and just try to, not 5-gallon, but those larger pots there, and try to get those buried really nice and deep. I'm also going to use, if you don't have pots like this that we've saved over time, you can use something like this. This is an orange juice container. We just cut the top off, drilled some holes in it. I'll link that video as well for you. This is from last year. I planted my tomato plants in this last year. I'll even link that video where I show the root structure growing through this very nicely. So you can use a container like this and actually grow your tomatoes and nice and healthy. So I'll probably plant a couple in these from last year, as well as Uppot and these other things. I'm going to take these marigolds, I'm going to do them in some smaller pots like these, just to keep them nice and healthy, give them a little bit more room. You can see the roots are growing, reaching as well for there. So it's time to get all of these things into another pot, basically. So we're going to get that going here, and I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so what I want to do to start is grab my first pot here, get some soil in the container there. Got a bag of potting soil here, so get some soil in the container to start. Just enough, not a lot. What I'm trying to do is, remember, I'm trying to get this as deep as possible. So then we're going to grab our plugs here. I'm going to start with this one that's already starting to lean a little bit. Now, what I showed you is those starter leaves as we talked about it. So I grabbed my shears here. This is not necessary to have shears. You can actually pinch off these leaves, but what I want to do is take that lower set of leaves. Doesn't matter if these are the starter leaves or the true leaves, as long as you leave some of the true leaves to start. I'm going to go ahead and clip those ones off of there. You can leave them in the soil, they will break down, but they also can rot while they're breaking down. So if this were outside, I'd leave them there, just let them break down, aid to the soil, but since we are still potting them, I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this entire plug out. So first I need to kind of separate the roots that have kind of grown together between the two plants. So I'm going to take my shears and actually cut them. It's okay that you cut the roots. You can actually break these roots or cut these roots off. You could do that if you're repotting a tree. You could do that if you're repotting a plant. It is okay if you lose some of these roots. They will grow new roots, especially off of this stem here. You just want to be careful not to damage them too much. So what we're going to do is kind of slowly break this apart. Not hard, because we don't want to lose the whole plug, but we're going to slowly kind of break that apart. We're going to try to tip this over a bit and try to force that out just kind of by slowly pinching it. We're trying to force this plug out. Now this one's very wet. Usually you want it to be a little bit on the drier side. You can see as I'm pulling it out, the roots are coming with it right through that hole. I'm going very slow. And there you have it. I got this entire plug. Set the rest down there. I got this entire plug, this root system. You can see there are roots growing through it. The roots are growing, as I said before, off of this trunk. You can already see they're reaching for that, trying to grab and strengthen itself. So we're going to take that, we're going to put it all the way down as far as we can inside of this pot. We want it, I'm going to twist the root structure that was there kind of around in a circle in the pot, kind of snake-like, because we want it to actually start growing around inside that pot. We don't want it growing down outside the hole like it was doing in this other one. So let me go ahead and add soil around this and show you what that structure looks like. Okay, so we've got this potted up. You can see this stem we buried it down quite a bit more. We could have gone deeper with this, guys. We could have gone all the way up to this first set of leaves with this, and this all would have grown structure. Remember, a tomato is actually a vine plant. Most people grow it vertically, which we will be doing as well, but it's an actual vine plant. It's looking to form actual roots along the way as it grows and produces. So that's why you can bury these so deep. Now we got to get this one watered in, and then we will move on to getting the rest of these planted as well. At this stage is where I would go through and kind of trim up any of the leaves that needed to be pruned off. You want to do your best to get rid of anything that is unhealthy on the plant, because that's just putting energy into the plant that you don't want. You want it to continue to put energy into producing roots and new foliage. Okay, so here's an example of tomato seedlings that they're both seeds that were dropped in there are actually germinated. So they are actually fighting for nutrients at this point, right? So you have two choices. You can just nip one off at the base here and just cut it out and get rid of it. It'll stop the growth and just continue to grow the one. You probably would have wanted to do this at an earlier stage. Or you can actually try to separate these by actually breaking this plug apart, which is what we're going to attempt to do today. So I'm just slowly pulling this apart. Again, yes, it is going to break up some of those roots. That's okay. See, now I'm just slowly separating these two, slowly tugging at the roots. Now there's roots on both. Now we have two different plants. So I'm going to go ahead and plant one deep and set the other one aside so I can plant that in the next pot. Typically, I would say prepare your two pots ahead of time so you have one each. So I had to spread it out over a couple of days, and I had to actually go buy some new shelving units because I had so many plants that I ended up having to repot. But I bought another walk-in greenhouse that won't fit here, but I was able to utilize the shelves for it. So I'll be able to utilize it outside in the future. But so I got all of my plants now repotted, and as you can see from that last shot, it is snowing. So I definitely needed to uppot these because it's going to be a few more weeks of winter, even though it's spring. So that's it, guys. Just a quick video on uppotting and the importance of uppotting your starter plants or your indoor grow plants. I wanted to show you guys how I do it and why I look for the largest pots you have if they're safe from the previous year. You can certainly use containers like I showed you, the repurposed containers like this. These are old orange juice containers. So you can certainly use stuff like that. Or, styrofoam cups work really well. Is what I was planning on using, but my store was sold out of the larger size ones. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you guys have not already. I hope you guys are staying safe and enjoy your gardens. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.